So we might get started. We've got a few people here already, and I'm sure a couple more will roll in as we go. So as I mentioned, it's a real pleasure to welcome you to the official launch of Living Well by Measuring What Matters, a project of the Bega Valley Data Collective and funded by FRRR, the Foundation for Rural and Regional Renewal. Before we get started, I'd like to acknowledge that we're all dialing in from Indigenous lands across Australia. Me, like I'm sure many people dialing in today, are joining from Jirragambie and Thawa country. And I'd like to pay respects to elders past and present, and also extend that respect to any Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who are joining in today. And just also to note that the lands were never ceded. I'm not sure if the chat function is working for everyone, but if it is, it'd be great for people to give a little introduction in the chat and just let us all know where you're joining from, whether it's inside or outside Bega Valley. So yeah, it's very exciting to be kicking off this project, and it's great to have so many people here today who are interested in hearing about what we're doing. The project so far has been put together and prepared by a dedicated group of volunteers of the Bega Valley Data Collective, the Living Well by Measuring What Matters working group, which is being led by Tim Whitaker, who you'll hear from shortly. So I'd like to extend a huge amount of gratitude and thanks to Tim and all the other members and volunteers who have been involved in getting this project off the ground. You'll be hearing from quite a few of these volunteers, as well as Shelley Boswell from SEER Data and Analytics, who's one of our key partners. So I'd also like to say a huge thanks to FRRR, as I mentioned before, for funding this work and supporting us, as well as Paul Ramsay Foundation, who are also supporting our overall Living Well in the Bega Valley initiative. So I'll now hand over to April Merrick, who's Vice President of the Bega Valley. Oh, sorry, actually, I'll if you just go next slide, Tim. Or has that, I hope that's gone for the next slide to everyone. Just a little bit about the Bega Valley Data Collective. So April will give a little bit of a rundown of our story and history in a moment. But just to give a little spiel, our mission is to empower our community to thrive together through a community wellbeing framework based on collaboration, data, and action. And so those three pillars, collaboration, data, and action, really form the foundations for everything we do in the Bega Valley. So collaboration by working together with the Bega Valley community and develop a shared vision for our wellbeing. So essentially going out and asking our community, what do we need to thrive? And that community engagement and that collaboration is a really core part of what we do. We then turn that information that we get from the community into data, so we can measure progress across the Bega Valley. And then really importantly, use that data to form action points. So we actually want to draw on that data to make sure we create meaningful change across the Bega Valley to ensure enduring wellbeing for everyone. And importantly, by doing this, we hope to shift the conditions that caused it a disadvantage to build a future where our people and places in the Bega Valley thrive. So I'll now hand over to April Merrick, who's Vice President of the Data Collective, to give a little rundown of our story so far.
Thanks, Kate. So we started before 2022. It started by Tim, who was in a webinar with SEER Data, and after that there was time to chat, and so she chatted. So Tim chatted to the founder of SEER Data and owner, and they talked about things that that communities need data that's local to our areas, not just to the big data, and that turned into a bit of a partnership with SEER Data. And I got a call from Tim to say, hey, I've got this idea, do you want to join me on it? And from that point, we then reached out to other people who we knew in the community who has that same mindset. And it came off the back of the fires. So it was really, we wanted to have we knew that when the fires happened that we needed data, and we didn't have a lot of local data that was relevant to us. So we knew that we needed something like this in the community. And so we just went along and started trying things. And then during that time, we got some funding to run our Measuring What Matters workshop, and that was really successful. And that workshop really, before we aligned with that workshop, we did a survey across the Bega Valley, and we got a really excellent result from that. We got lots of really rich data from it, lots of overlapping themes that we knew was happening. And then we ran the workshop with local not-for-profits and any community members who wanted to come. And that was really well attended and really well engaging. People were engaging and saying similar things and saying, well, we need this in our valley. So that's pushed us to keep going. And then moving from just feedback, and we turned into more community-led. And during that Measuring What Matters, we had Kate present to us and about her previous role in delivering, well, ongoing role as well, delivering youth framework across other parts of the country. And so we put that to the community, and they said, well, that's a really good idea. So we sort of moved on to that and have a project still going, trying to create a wellbeing framework for youth. But then we decided we needed to expand that a bit more. It's because it can't be for one part of the community. So we also then started doing other projects, but then we knew that we needed to get some more funding to have a person as well. And with all the things that we're doing now, and we've moved on to living well by measuring what matters, and living well is this tagline for what we're doing, because we think that all of the things that the community need in wellbeing will fit under that. So we don't want to just be so pointed. We want to have get all the community voices. So we've got some funding to actually have a funded person to do all this work, so the volunteers can step back a bit. And we're hoping it's going to lead to some great things in the valley.
Right, thanks so much, April. Yeah, we'll now pass on to Tim, who's going to give a bit of an overview of the project we're talking about today and launching today.
Thanks, Kate, and thanks, April. Yeah, it's been an interesting journey, and we're really excited where we're up to now, and this great project we're about to launch today, Living Well by Measuring What Matters. So when we designed this project, and we looked at basically the three things that we need to do, and following up from mention what April mentioned, the Measuring What Matters project initially, where we got some great information back from the community on what they thought was important, so we want to delve a bit deeper now with the Living Well survey. It's an online survey, and it's basically asking people what's important for them to live well in the Bega Valley, and also how that should be measured. How can we track changes or actions that need to happen? And we want to the whole project will start in February and run to October. So with the survey, we want to engage with a whole range of diverse people across the Bega Valley, so we can really capture that local knowledge. The second component is community engagement events, and this is probably the key part of it. We're a community-led organisation, so we can't do what we want to do without engaging the community in the journey. So we've scheduled through this project, with the great support from FRRR, a whole range of community events across the Bega Valley, covering towns and villages, and we wanted to go out there and get to know the community and their views, but also get them to know about this project as well. And the third component is our data dashboard. So Adam, our data analyst, is working on creating some data dashboards with the SEER platform, and we'll talk a bit more about those. But our philosophy of the data group, we want to make data access free to all community members, but also in a form that's easily accessible for the community to use. So the Living Well survey, and we've designed this to be a fairly quick survey, just about 10 to 15 minutes. And it's got a range of open and closed questions, so we can collect both qualitative and quantitative data. And we've asking questions like, what does living well mean to you, in your own words, and things like and how we think overall people in the Bega Valley are living, and more importantly, which areas are most important for you to live well. You see down the bottom of that screen, there's quite a range of areas that we wanted to cast a wide net, get people. So we don't want to focus on any particular areas. We want to be pretty broad in to see what the community thinks is important. And the way the survey works, because you can see there's a whole lot of different areas there, you can select up to 3 areas, and then the next question will ask you specifically about your selection. So you don't have to get a lot of questions about stuff that you're not really interested in or doesn't really you do think is important. So things like tell us now why these areas are important to you, and what actions you see need to see for these living well in these areas, and also things like what information is important to live well. There's a whole list of different types of information so we can gather that people can select, and how can we monitor that change if we identify a need and want to take action? Well, we need to monitor that, how it's changed. So, and I've got to say it's quite interesting. The first Measuring What Matters survey was we were blown away with the responses. Not necessarily with these open sort of questions, the amount of qualitative data we got back and how people were really keen to express their views. It was pretty overwhelming. So we're figuring at the end of this survey, we'll have a heck of a lot of both quantitative and qualitative data across the Bega Valley, and we'll really be able to set what happens next and what actions need to be done, and how can we advocate for change to overcome or shift some of the conditions that cause disadvantage in the Bega Valley. Okay, Kate, I'll throw over to you to talk about community engagement.
Well, thanks, Tim. And as Tim mentioned, I think I mentioned earlier as well, the community engagement component of our work is really crucial, and we see it as really important. And there's this old adage, nothing about us without us. So the whole community needs to be engaged in this process. So we want to make sure we reach widely in the community and make sure all voices are heard. Before I kind of go on to talk a little bit about what we're doing, I also wanted to give a big shout out to Tracy Fleming, who's been part of the working group and has been doing a lot of the work organising and facilitating a lot of the events where we've got planned over the next 9 or so months. So firstly, the community events. So that's really about that deep consultation with the community through events and markets across the Bega Valley. So we want to be able to use that approach to reach a diverse populace of the Bega Valley. And so to do that, we'll be attending and setting up stalls at markets and events, and through that handing out flyers. We've got an interactive survey, giveaways. So we've got a lot of merchandise to give out and also to sell. And we've got at these stalls, there'll be incredibly interactive ways of participating. So it's not just kind of a standard survey. We're going to have a kids table set up for children to draw, what makes them happy in the Bega Valley, and also other ways of interacting as well at the stalls. If you're interested in being involved in any of these, we are looking for volunteers to come and support us. So if you're an existing member or if you're interested in becoming more involved, please do reach out to us because it'd be great to have more people involved in those events. We'll also be doing focus groups throughout the year. So they're more facilitated and targeted meetings with community groups. So that will be later in the year after the survey has closed. And so we'll present the results from the survey and also engage with community groups to better understand the data and also collaboratively explore what actions could be taken based on the findings. So some focus groups we're considering are with young people, with seniors, First Nations representatives, and those impacted by past disasters. Finally, we'll also be doing some workshops. So they are roundtable discussions with representatives from community groups, agencies and service providers on where to from here and what actions should be taken, and also potential projects to come out of this current project. So again, through that, we'll be presenting the results of the Living Well survey and also the data dashboards, which Shelley is going to talk about in a moment. So we have a big roster of events over the next few months. Our first is coming up very soon. So we'll be at the Far South Coast National Show, or the Bega Show, next weekend from Friday the 27th to Sunday the 1st. So as I said, if you're interested in volunteering at that stall, please reach out to us, or please just stop by and say hello if you're going to be at the show. Following on from that, we will be running more events. We will be at markets and events. So if you haven't subscribed to us already, please do, so you can know when they're coming up. So now I'd like to introduce Shelley Boswell, who is with SEER Data and Analytics, who's I mentioned a really key partner of ours, to talk a little bit about the data dashboards. So Shelley, I'll hand over to you.
Thanks, Kate. At its core, the SEER Data platform was developed to make data accessible to communities, and so we're continually building on this through the development of new features, such as our new Insight Summary tool, which is powered by AI, which we're finding really exciting because this tool has been designed to specifically support community users to understand their data in the selected insight, and the model has been trained on community voice. So it's really important that all of the text that's generated is accessible to the right audiences. Each insight can be used individually, as Bega Valley has done on their current website, or combined in the form of highly interactable dashboards that include features such as the ability to filter on insights to specific locations. Our team has worked with the Data Collective to develop the template dashboard specifically designed for your local community and across the 6 focus areas. So we're very excited about these being launched as well. An example insight is shown on the slide. So when this is viewed on the dashboard, users can hover over each of the bar and it will show them the specific values related to that bar. And there's an arrow next to the end of the title there. And so if you're clicking on that, it will also allow the users to open the insight into a new table or new tab on the browser. And that lets them see the data in a table format as well as the chart format. So again, really making sure that the data is accessible in multiple ways to the community. Thanks, Kate.
Cool. Thanks so much, Shelley.
And I just might jump in there, sorry, Kate. SEER have been with us from day one, and they're one of our strategic partners, and they have to bring you data in a way that is refined and usable by the community is a key part of what we want to do. So well done, SEER, and also Adam's been working away to develop these data dashboards, and also we have up to 180 odd data insights already published on a website that people can access for free. Just have to register to access those, and they cover a whole range of different categories and different data sets.
Thanks, Tim. Yes, our open data catalogue covers over 20 different data sets, some of which are updated monthly and some are updated annually, depending on the custodians. And we're always looking to expand this to include more data that's rich for the community. So yeah, always happy to have suggestions if there's data that you would like included.
Thanks, Shelley. Over to you,
Thanks
Kate.
so much, Tim. Thanks, Shelley. So last but not least, as April mentioned, we're really thrilled to announce that we now have a Living Well coordinator who will help to manage this project as well as other projects of the Bega Valley Data Collective. The role is funded by the Paul Ramsey Foundation, who we're incredibly grateful for. This is a massive boost for us to have a dedicated person who can do what the volunteers have been doing, plus more over the next few years. So Leah Santo actually begins today officially in the role. So very, very happy to welcome Leah on board. She brings a huge amount of experience to the role, and we're incredibly lucky to have her. I think many of you know her already, but I would like to introduce Leah to say a few words about herself and introduce herself to the group.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's an honour to be here and have my first day in the role today. As you mentioned, Kate, I do know a lot of the names and faces here today from living in the Bega Valley, but also from work that I've done with FRRR and Bega Valley Shire Council. So I was delivering the Investing in Rural Community Futures program for almost 2 years, which was absolutely wonderful, and I learned so much. So I really know that when initiatives are locally led, there are opportunities for true impact and for frameworks that will serve the interests of the greater community. So yeah, I'm really thrilled to be in a position that will help give voice to the whole community and help drive sustainable change in an inclusive way. So I'm looking forward to working together with all of you and as many people as possible. So yeah, looking forward to being in touch. It's my first day, so feeling a bit shy, but great to see you all and to be here.
Thanks so much, Leah. And again, it's really fantastic to have you on board. So we have a few minutes now for questions. If anyone has any questions or wants to make any comments, you're welcome to unmute your microphone or write a few things in the chat. We've had a few people, Annabelle and Richard, mention kind of they'll help spread the word about us, which is fantastic. So we're always up for more collaborations and more opportunities for engagement. So if you do see opportunities across the valley, we'd be really happy to hear it. But yeah, I'll open the floor for any questions, from anyone. So we've got a question from Sarah. So regarding the Living Well survey, generally in our area, so I think, Sarah, you're from Bowral area, if I'm not mistaken. We have a lot of uptake of surveys. So how did you reach and engage the whole of community to allow all the voices to be heard in your survey? So I guess we can speak to the Measuring What Matters survey that we ran a couple of years ago, and hopefully we have similar results for this one. But Tim, I'll hand this over to you to talk about the strategy for ensuring all voices are heard in the last survey. I guess while Tim's sorting out microphone issues, I suppose we can talk about the strategy for mics are not available. Okay, yeah. So if we ask questions in the chat, that would be great. In terms of our strategy for this coming survey, again, it really is about that wide engagement, and so we're able to do that through the market stalls because the people attend markets. I think it's quite a diverse range of the valley, and also engaging with community directly. And so in that sense, we're really lucky to have Leah on board, who will be able to put a lot of time and resources into directly engaging with community groups across the Bega Valley to promote the survey. And alongside that as well, we recognise that it's important to use a diverse range of modes to engage. So a survey is one, but that, those focus groups, those community groups, and just chatting to people at stalls as well. So the stalls are not just about promoting the survey, it's actually about having chats to people about these questions, finding out what living well means to them, so we can turn those insights into data and action as well. So a wide range of mediums, I suppose, is kind of the answer to that, but we'd be really keen to hear your insights there and maybe learn from each other through a meeting later to learn about kind of how, what your challenges were and if there were any solutions you came up with to address them. And Tim, you've managed to get your mic working. I don't know if you wanted to say a few more words.
Yeah, thanks, Kate. Sorry about that. I don't know why that didn't to work for me. Yeah, I think there's a couple of things with community survey. We get a lot, as you'll see, you get bombarded with a lot of surveys, but making sure that this is a survey for the community, not for somebody else's purpose, and also making that information from the survey available to people in detail as well, so that they can see what sort of happened and what other people's views are. And probably the third point, the length of it, the survey, having a fairly extended time for people to get their surveys in. So that's probably three things I think we do to get a good response, and that's what we'll be doing for this Living Well survey as well.
So we have another question from Carolyn Adler asking whether we have a target, or whether we have a target and what that target is. We got, from memory, about 300 odd responses from our previous survey. Tim, is that right?
Yeah, we're hoping for 500 plus. I would like to think we could get up to around 1,000, but yeah, we'll be giving it a big push and probably more exposure for this survey than we've done for the previous one. So yeah, and I think we should get a really good response.
And to add to that, alongside numbers is, again, as we've talked about, representation. So ensuring that we have wide representation as well as good survey numbers as well. I can see, Annabelle, you've got your hand up. If you're able to unmute your microphone, feel free.
Thanks, Kate. I'm so excited about this work. I can't tell you, and I wish I was more involved. Tim, Leah, April, Kate, and anyone else. I'm so looking forward to watching what you do, and I'll help wherever I possibly can. As I flagged in the chat, I'm up in Bamboka. I'm pretty actively involved in a lot of the community things up here that are going on, and I would like to offer my help wherever I can. So that's kind of just a scene setting for you. But what I've got is maybe a bit of a curly question. When you gather this data and you assess what you find, where do you think that's going to go in terms of next steps, and how you're going to prioritise or assess what opportunities are going to be available to actually do something with this data? And I'll just pause on that because I know that's a really big question. But the second thing that I'm also sort of, mulling over in my mind is, how might we piggyback on existing opportunities that will also be occurring in this way in other shires or other areas, so that we're not reinventing the wheel. I can see that in a regional or remote community, particularly in the area that I work in, which is mental health, I'll flag that and say that I work for Mental Health Carers Australia, so that's a sort of an area that I have a strong expertise in at the moment. But I see a lot of silos across regional or remote areas occurring in not only mental health but in population health in general, and I just want to make sure that we can somehow capitalise on existing opportunities, either be programs, funding, and I know you'll be well aware of all the different Commonwealth and state and government funding opportunities, but it's going to be a really big task, probably bigger than your nucleus group. So what's your thinking for the next sort of 12 months once you've found out this information?
Did you want to field that, Tim? I have a couple of comments on the second, but I think you might want to speak more to the first.
It's an interesting, it's a very good question. We don't really know at this point, and it depends what the views of the community we get back through the survey that will determine that. But I think there'll be a lot of diverse views, and I suppose it's a matter of sort of prioritising those, and also work. Again, we won't just go off and do that in our own silo, for a bit of a word. We'll be engaging with the community to get projects up and going, to find funding for those projects that need. So, yeah, it'll be a long haul and a lot of work, but we're up for it. But we want to bring the community involved in that process, Annabelle, and I'm sure you'll be putting your hand up to as well to be involved in that, and just interesting to see what that feedback is. And interesting, although we haven't officially launched the survey, we've got about 30 odd responses already. It's quite interesting to see. I know they're probably not reflective of everything, but it's already seeing a diverse range of views and ideas coming back. So at the end of back in September sometime, we'll probably have a whole stack of information that we need to somehow digest it with the help of the community through workshops, and where do we go from here.
I note that we're just a couple of minutes over time, but I might just quickly respond as well, Annabelle. I mean, firstly, it's great to hear your enthusiasm and keenness to be involved. It'd be fantastic for you to be able to support us in the capacity that you're able to. And I suppose with these kind of projects, in terms of engaging with community and incorporating data into that, and then having those action points afterwards, when done well, and obviously we're striving to do well. I think they can enhance that collaboration, and they can help reduce those silos. So as Tim mentioned, obviously we want to be engaging really closely with community groups across the valley to develop those action points. And we really see ourselves as more facilitators, I suppose, in garnering those action strategies, and then supporting other organisations to do that work in advocating for those issues and for getting programs up and running and things like that. So I guess we see ourselves as supporting the rest of the community to do the great work that they're already doing.
Yeah, just a quick chat question from Melinda. Can I ask if the Bega Council supports it? Not directly now, but we have had conversations, and interesting enough, the Bega, our first bit of funding we got to form the Bega data collector came from the council, but we'll continue the conversation with them and how we can work. But it was clear from our first Measuring What Matters project that people wanted to be part of a community-led initiative rather than something that's led by government. Yeah, we can certainly work with council in the future and see how that develops.
Yeah, and yeah, we're working with council now in different ways as well. Like Secca, the gallery, are now our associate member of the Bega Valley Data Collective. So certainly for forming those partnerships and collaborations there. So we might end there. It's been really fantastic to have the opportunity to launch this project. We're really keen to work with anyone who wants to continue collaborating with us. So do feel free to reach out. We've got our email address there. And yeah, it's just really amazing to see so many people here today who are interested in what we're doing. So thank you so much, and we're looking forward to seeing you soon at an event in the upcoming year.